Ready to get started then?
Yes, sir.
All right, good evening. This meeting is a meeting of the school board and public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There may be time for public participation as indicated by agenda items or as directed by the president. The meeting site is fully accessible. Any person requiring further accommodation should contact the superintendent at the school corporation central office. The meeting will be electronically recorded and will be kept on file in the superintendent's office. A copy of the audio recording will also be available on the NLCS website. And it should be noted that all board members are present, save Ms. Collier. We knew she would not be able to be here this evening. All right, if you're able, please rise, uncover. And Barb, would you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, you may notice the board members preoccupied somewhat up here with some new technology that we've been training on a little bit here earlier this evening. So we will be trying to follow along on digital formats on our documents and minutes this evening, so bear with us as we break this stuff in. Next on our agenda, I would ask for a motion to review the approval of minutes and executive session memorandum from our meetings from January 23rd, 2025.
So moved.
All right, Dr. Miller moves. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Soakland seconds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. All right, next on the agenda, persons to address the board relative to the agenda. Looks like we have none. All right, thank you, David. Moving right along. Item D, business office. Ms. Carson.
I would like to ask the board for approval of claims and payroll since the last board meeting in the amount of $4,108,822.57.
All right, we have recommendation for approval of the payroll as cited. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Mr. King makes a motion to be approved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Gilbert seconds. Any discussion related to the item? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approval of the claims and payroll as cited, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. Next on the agenda, Mr. Unger, Human Resources.
Thank you. Good evening. Item number 1, I'd like to ask your approval for the personnel agenda as presented.
All right, have a recommendation of approval of the personnel agenda as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right, Dr. Miller makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Stokely seconds. Discussion relative to the motion. Questions or discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approval of the personnel agenda as presented, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Item 2, I ask for your approval of district librarian stipend for Lucretia Kuhn.
All
And
right.
just a reminder, this position is one that we need. We need a librarian for the district to sign off and different things. This is per code.
All right, have a recommendation for approval of a district librarian position stipend.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, Mr. King makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Gilbert seconds. Discussion related to this topic, motion. All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approval of the librarian stipend, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item F on the agenda, moving right along. Elementary curriculum, Ms. Hudson.
Good evening. I have a few items tonight. The first is I'm asking your approval for the NLCS time and effort policy. This was a policy that we did not have in place when we were monitored in the spring. So Ms. Carson and I have worked together with the fiscal monitors from the Indiana Department of Education. And you had it in your packets last month. This is just the second reading and the approval.
I am actually clicking the link in the agenda to see if we can bring it up and see if that works. Perhaps it does not.
make a motion and we approve.
Okay, have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Sokin seconds. Any discussion relative to this reading of and approval of the time and effort policy?
So there's not many changes since the first reading, correct?
Correct. You and I talked about a couple minor changes in wording, but that was before this.
The
That
first
was
reading?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the time and effort policy, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you. The next item is I'm asking for your approval of mobile assessment services agreement between North Lawrence Community Schools and Bloomington Meadows Hospital. And that should also be in your packets.
All right, have a recommendation for approval of the mobile assessment services agreement between NLCS and Bloomington Meadows Hospital. Do I have a motion?
All right.
Ms. Miller makes a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Mr. King seconds. Discussion related to this topic. Questions?
I just want to say thanks.
Oh, okay. You're welcome.
All right, hearing no further questions or discussion, all those in favor of approval of the agreement between NLCS and Bloomington Meadows Hospital, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. And the next item is the first reading of the NLCS record retention policy. Mrs. Carson and I also worked together to write this policy for our corporation, and it was another policy that we did not have in place previously. It's not a votable
Right,
item,
not a
but
voting
yes.
item here, so-
I didn't know if anybody has any questions. Okay.
Do you know how many more
One.
unexisting
We're down
policies
to one
that we
more
will have
that we know of at this
Okay.
time. And we are going to work on having a draft for you. Hopefully, possibly the next meeting, it's a much larger policy. It's called segregation of duties, and it's really internal controls for the business department. And so it's a big, it's kind of a bear. So we are gonna make our best effort. We're working again with the fiscal team at the IDOE, and they're giving us lots of guidance.
Okay, thank you very much. I know everyone grows up and wants to, when they're growing up, they say, I want to grow up and write policy, right? So it's-
Right, yes.
So this would
good
be,
work.
this would be how to get rid of a lot of documents, and I see this destruction of.
Absolutely.
Okay.
To do it legally, safely, through basically following all of our county's guidelines. We defer to our county. So Fatima has spent some time talking with some people at the courthouse and in the assessor's office, clerk's office, and we had to get all that information in place. So that's what is in the policy right now. It reflects what our county requires.
Thank you.
All right, Ms.
Okay.
Hudson, anything else?
I just wanted to thank our K-12 teachers, also our students and our families for making our past few days. Monday was an asynchronous day, and Tuesday and Wednesday were synchronous days, as well as today. Just so successful. I've heard nothing but success stories from our teachers in the elementary levels and our administrators. We all prefer to have our students in our buildings, in their seats, going about their day as planned. But it's nice to have this option in inclement weather. And I wanted to thank Mr. Housel and Mr. Yancey as well for allowing us to speed up the purchase of those chargers so that we could get those in the hands of our elementary students and make that possible. David added some photos to the scrolling video here of some of our teachers and students engaged in virtual learning, but I just wanted you to know that we are very appreciative of our teachers, students, and families for that. Thank
And
you.
for everyone's awareness, those synchronous learning days and even Monday's asynchronous learning days, those do not have to be made up.
That's correct. We had one remaining asynchronous day that we used on Monday. From now on, anything we use must be a synchronous day. So,
Okay.
yes, and they
All right.
do not have to be made up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to agenda item G, secondary curriculum, Dr. Aaron Miller.
We're going to start with a high ability presentation, program update. Turn this clicker on. talk about high ability, we talk about a few things. Some of our core concepts would be identification, structure and services, training and licensure, curriculum, social emotional, and enrichment and extracurricular. So whenever we met, the broad-based planning committee met, not this past December, but the December before, we looked at all the work that had been done prior to in these 6 categories, and we made a plan moving forward. So an update on the work since then. We purchased Beast Academy for grades 1 through 6 at all of our elementaries. We currently have 100 students enrolled. We purchased Jacob's Ladder ELA curriculum, again for grades 1 through 6. We have 94 students that have materials. For our social emotional, we have a high ability early college social emotional advisory every Tuesday, and the focus on that is managing stress, heavy course loads, and expectations. Structure and services, we started the Shoswick pilot that you're going to hear about in a minute. We hired a high ability specialist, and we updated our NLCS definition and mission statements. We also expanded our enrichment and extracurriculars by adding an academic team at BNL. In their first year, they made it to the state competition in fine arts, which was incredible. We've added a robotics club at BNL. We've also added early college and AVID guest speakers, college visits, enrichment advisories, and then this year we're planning an awards night in May. The elementary, they are planning a night at the museum at Shoswick. Training and licensure, we hired Madison Jackson, who is pursuing her high ability master's. We took 3 NLCS staff to the IAG conference, Indiana Association of the Gifted conference, in 2023, and then this past year we took 13. We started a secondary high ability book study. For our first book study, we have 10 participants. We sent our grades 1 through 6 Beast Academy teachers to an online Beast Academy training, and then we brought in a Jacob's Ladder trainer for grades 1 through 6. Identification, we updated for the upcoming school year, the teacher referral form, a parent referral form, a teacher feedback form, product work samples, digital scales for identifying gifted students, and we created an identification committee. And here to speak about the work in the pilot is Principal Kelsey Pace of Shoswick and High Ability Specialist Madison Jackson.
Thank you. All right, well, I'm going to talk a little bit about the structure of our high ability pilot at Shoswick. It's distracting with my ugly mug on that screen and then the high ability pilot on this screen. So the structure at Shoswick, and we learned this from the IAG conference that I was lucky enough to attend in 2023 with Dr. Miller. We met with a lot of people there who do this very thing in other districts, and we were able to take their ideas and apply it to a district of our size, a building of our size. And so what it looks like for us, you may or may not know, students are identified as high ability students in ELA or math or both, which would be a general intellect. And so what we wanted to do is make sure that their needs were being met in both of those things. And so it took some planning on the front end, especially, like I said, for a building our size with the number of sections that we have. But basically, we used our WIN time. WIN stands for what I need. And so in our building at Shoswick, all of our students during WIN time, they move around, and they all go to a specific WIN group. And so they all get what they need during this time. We have 30 minutes built in for ELA and 30 minutes built in for math. And so that's how we've structured it. During that WIN time, if you are identified as a gifted and talented student in English Language Arts, during your English Language Arts WIN time, you go to Mrs. Jackson's WIN group, and they receive that instruction in Jacob's Ladder. It's very cooperative learning. It's collaborative learning. It's incredible. I could go sit there and just watch her interact and teach these kids all day. It's some pretty incredible stuff. The same thing happens for math. They have Beast Academy, and so during their math WIN group, they go to Mrs. Jackson's WIN group, and they receive instruction with Beast Academy. So one of the things that we had to be careful about is overlapping our WIN times. It did happen twice. I think it happens twice for about 15 minutes for one group, and then like second and third grade have to combine for one subject. But it was a puzzle that we were excited to solve. It was a good problem to have, and so we're really excited about the way things are going. On Friday, I think a lot of times when you think of high ability or gifted and talented, you think of STEM or projects, things like that. On Fridays, we call it Fun Friday. They're still working, aren't you, Luke? So on Fun Fridays, it's a lot of social emotional learning, but then also they've done mock trials. Our sixth grade did like an escape room and some really cool things that Mrs. Jackson does on Fridays. I'm going to let you jump in and talk about that a little bit. Okay.
Those Fun Friday days are days that we look forward to every week. There's a lot of logical thinking. These escape rooms are kind of taking pieces of puzzles around the room. They have to do math and then social emotional work with teamwork and things like that. So those days are beneficial for higher level thinking skills that aren't necessarily in everyday work, but they're skills that are necessary. So those are really fun. Creative, we do a lot of creative writing, which is neat outside the box thinking. So another opportunity that we're excited to present these students with are passion projects. So starting the week after spring break, we're going to start our passion project month. So at the end of this passion project month, students will have created their own independent project. They have a lot of options. It's endless for what they can do to present to people about their passion. So they get to choose a passion, something they're interested in. We have a lot of different opportunities. They can just pick really anything they want. This can be STEM, kind of bigger projects, or things like their favorite sports athlete, something like that. Art, I have a lot of students interested in art. Animals, there's a wide variety that students have been interested in. So we did a modeling process a few weeks ago. It went really well, and students are really excited and looking forward to this time. So we will start with the 6 Ps and talk about how to complete a passion project. So they pick their passion, then they plan how they're going to go about this big picture, and then they'll pitch that kind of like Shark Tank. So they'll have an opportunity to create a presentation about their passion, why they want to research this, and then pitch that to me. And we'll talk about, is this how you envision it going? What are your steps? And make it a really meaningful experience from the very beginning. It'll be a very intentional time. They will create a project and then create a product. This could be multimedia. This could be a sculpture. This could be sewing something or creating really anything that they would like. Then they will present at our showcase night at Shawswick. So this is a Night at the Museum theme. So their project has to fit within that theme, Night at the Museum, which could really be anything. We made it really open-ended this year. So they will have a showcase. They'll have an exhibit that they'll create. So they'll create the backdrop, the project, and then parents and family members can come around and walk through and see all of the different projects that have been created. And they'll get a chance to present and teach people about these projects and about their passion. This is a video of some student testimonials of my real life students that are so precious to me. We have really had a wonderful year. I'm thankful that you have given us this opportunity to allow this program at Shawswick. It's a very intentional time where we have deep discussions, deep thinking. I really see them engaged and they look forward to a challenge. And I'm very thankful that you have given us this opportunity. So this is their thoughts. So as you can see, some common themes were Beast Academy, Puzzle Lab. That sounds like a game, and they think it's a game, but really, it's a really it's a challenging puzzle. There are various they have to unlock. They do the core content. It's accelerated, so they'll do the accelerated content, and then eventually they unlock different levels of this puzzle lab. There's things like Tetris, so manipulating shapes and fitting pieces together, but also like number pyramids where they have to do multiplication, division, and solve missing pieces. So there are lots of different options in the puzzle lab, but that's something that they really love. And we're not just seeing an impact educationally, we're also seeing an impact with social emotional health with these students. So that has been another big success that we're excited about. We've seen kids make connections with students that they had never even met before, or they hadn't had an opportunity to really get to know. And now they're sitting together at lunch, and they've made these connections that are deeper, and they have people that they can turn to. So that's been really exciting to see as well.
Next steps for our High Ability program. I just want to say how proud I am of all of the work our team has completed in ultimately 1 year. We have made gains in every single area. We have improved our identification process. We have added curriculum, training, structure, services. I'm just so proud of the work that we've done. And moving forward, we are hoping that we can expand the successful pilot. The HAP grant can cover the cost of a high ability master's degree and a praxis test, but ultimately the school corporation does have to pay for that teacher salary and benefits. We would love to continue to grow our opportunities for students and families and ask for continued board support for high ability curriculums, materials, extracurricular activities for high ability students, and continued opportunities for teachers for workshops, conferences, professional development, and book studies. Thank you so much.
You have time
Does anybody have any
for a
questions?
couple questions? Sure.
Yes.
So you mentioned 100 in Beast Academy, 94 in Jacob's Ladder, and then some of those were combined. How many individuals is that? That's not 194 individuals, right?
No, because some of them are general intellectual, which means that they participate in both. And I can get you those numbers, but I don't have them right here.
Okay.
First of all, thank you. It was really fun to be part of this process, and as some of you may know, that this is a big area of passion for me. So to see it all come together in a year is pretty incredible. In terms of spreading it throughout the rest of the district, and this isn't a question you have to think about right now, but if you could consider like what barriers, things that you learned and you're doing it to kind of help us as we implement it other places.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I've shared a lot of this process with the other administrators as we're kind of going through. There were growing pains, right? With anything new there are, and or with anything new there is, and this was no different. Like I said, the scheduling piece up front was kind of a big thing for me. That will look different in every other building, because no building is structured like Shawswick, right? Even Parkview, who has a similar number of students as Shawswick, has two separate buildings. It would just look very different. But I've been very transparent, and so has Dr. Miller. And then Mrs. Madison has even met with the other administrators too, and shared a lot of that. So we've kind of been keeping notes on, here are some things I definitely want to share with administrators, and then some things that we've learned from this. What would we do differently next time? That, what mistake will we not make again? That sort of thing. So yes, we've been doing that, but we'll continue to be transparent about that process and refine it every time we do it from here on out. Yeah, thank you.
We had a mentor or consultant that helped get off. Has she had a chance to review what we're doing and give them some feedback?
Yes, we've been meeting with our consultant every month at Shawswick, and it's been going really well. They've helped us so much, like developing Madison's contract, helping with all of those forms with identification, the teacher referral, the parent referral, the teacher feedback form. Almost every form we have, they've helped us develop it based on what they've learned. So they've been very, very helpful, and we're still using their services.
Yeah, they've also observed Madison and the program. And so they've watched her teach, and then we've debriefed afterwards, and they've let her know how that's going. They've provided constructive feedback that she's just a continuous improvement kind of gal anyway. And so they sit down and debrief with us and hey, why don't you try this? Or we'd like to see you do this and that sort of thing. So yes, they've been incredible and very helpful.
So one more question then. Remind us of the rollout to other schools then and our vision and plan for that if we have it.
Well, we would like to expand the pilot to another school next year.
We did an activity with our principals, and we picked a school. And then hopefully by spring break, we will approve the position.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Miller, I think we're keeping with you and your agenda items.
Yes. Let me go get my list. I left it over here. Sorry about that. Okay, the next thing is I would like to request the approval of the Memorandum of Understanding with Indiana University for the AVID study. This was presented in November, and they finally sent us the MOU.
All right, have a recommendation for approval of the MOU with IU, between IU and for the AVID study. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
All right, Dr. Miller makes a motion. Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Gilbert seconds. Any discussion related to this motion?
So, this memorandum of understanding, I mean, it aligns with everything that we saw in November, right, in terms of consents and
Yes.
the way we reach out to the students after they've graduated and all that.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, any further questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the MOA as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you. I request the approval of the Indiana University Data Transfer Agreement related to that AVID study.
All right, Mr. King makes a motion to approve the data transfer agreement. Do I have a second? Ms. Miller seconds. Discussion related to this motion.
Same question on this.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
All right, any further questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the data transfer agreement, please signify by saying aye. All opposed?
Thank you. I request the approval of EMC2 Learning Presentation and District Materials for the 2025-2026 school year as presented.
All right, have a recommendation for approval of the EMC Squared Learning presentation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right, Mr. Gilbert makes the motion. Do I have a second? Mr. King seconds. Discussion related to this motion. All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you. I request the approval of a local diploma requirement change request from economics to financial literacy for students senior year per outlined in the new Indiana diploma guidelines.
Make motion approved.
All right, Mr. King makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Gilbert seconds. Discussion related to this motion?
So can you give us just a blip on teachers' resources? I mean, we have the resources necessary to make this change without any additions, correct?
Yes, we applied for a grant for curriculum for the financial literacy course, and we believe that we will get it. We haven't heard the official word yet, correct? Oh, we have heard? We have heard. We have heard we've gotten the grant, so the curriculum or the materials will be on their way. Yes.
All right, further questions or discussion? All right, hearing none then, all in favor, please, of this local diploma requirement change, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you. I request approval to fund a master's degree in Spanish for the possible recruitment of a dual credit Spanish teacher as presented.
All right, we'll look for a motion. Mr. King makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a second. Discussion related to this agenda, or this motion?
I'd like to say, appreciate the effort. I applaud the effort. Good luck. We need the spot.
We'll
filled.
probably
We
need it,
this
so
spot
yes.
filled. So if anybody habla Spanish, whatever, sign up. We'll help you out if you help us out. We need this spot
Yes.
filled. Thank you.
All right, any further questions or discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approval of the funding of master's degree for Spanish and dual credit Spanish teacher, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item H, Ms. Redmond is not here. Mr. Yancey?
Thank you, Mr. Parsley. I'm stepping in for Mrs. Redmond tonight. We are asking approval of the Ed Rising National Out-of-State Competition in Orlando, Florida. That's in June the 25th through July 1st, 2025. That's the future teachers at the Career Center.
All right, have a recommendation for approval of this trip. Do you have a motion? All right, Mr. King makes the motion for approval. Do I have a second? Ms. Miller seconds. Any discussion or questions related to this motion?
Just like to add, my calendar's free if they need an extra chaperone.
We'll sign you up.
Orlando in June. Not bad. All right, any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of this trip, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Parsley. We are asking approval of the online CTE grading stipend for the fall of 2024. This was CTE pathways we did last year for a natural resource pathway and hospitality pathway at the Career Center. These two individuals are grading the coursework.
All right, have a recommendation for approval of the online CTE grading stipends. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
All right, Dr. Miller makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Soakland seconds. Discussion or questions related to this motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Thank you.
All right, motion carries. All right, next we have special education, Ms. Swango.
Good evening. I just have one item tonight, and I'm asking for approval of the occupational therapy services contract with Bloom Pediatric Therapy.
All right, would ask for a motion relative to this recommendation. All right, Ms. Miller makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Gilbert seconds. Okay, questions and discussion related to this motion? Okay. All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Swango.
Thank you.
Next, item J, Mr. Underwood.
Thank you. We are seeking board approval for the donation of the oil painting in front of you. It's of a former Bedford High School teacher, beloved Bedford High School teacher. Her name was Miss Georgie Mitchison. And so that was painted in 1938 by an artist named Marie Goth. And the people at the Lawrence County Historical Society reached out to me. They were looking for it for a couple of years ago. We thought it was lost, but it was found in the BMS library in a closet. And so we figured the best place for it to be would be on display at the museum through them.
All right, recommendation for donation of this painting to the Lawrence County Historical Society. Do I have a motion? All right, Ms. Miller makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. King seconds. Discussion or questions? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of donation of the painting, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Underwood. And Mr. Yancey, item K.
Thank you, Mr. Parsley. We have a presentation, and Mr. Yates, our athletic director at B&L, and the Moats group is here to discuss and show you some renderings of possibly redoing our B&L soccer field. So,
as Mr. Yancey said, we're here to propose the installation of artificial turf on the soccer field at B&L. Before I turn it over to Hunter Meese here with the Moats Group, I wanted to briefly just talk about the current field and show you guys some pictures. If we can bring those pictures up. The field is currently utilized by 6 teams between our high school and middle school, which creates a heavy amount of foot traffic on the field. Currently, the field is unsafe to play games or practice on. It's unlevel and wavy, which makes it vulnerable to ankle and knee injuries. It has many low spots that retain water. There's numerous holes in the field, and we feel there's injuries waiting to happen. As far as the current upkeep, countless hours, money, and a high level of maintenance is required. The field needs to be mowed and trimmed frequently during the spring, summer, and fall. Holes need to be backfilled on a regular basis. A significant amount of water is needed to keep the grass healthy, and we have to ask teams to stay off the field during the season to keep it in shape. I believe our student athletes and community deserve a field that's comparable to our conference opponents' facilities, a field that they can be proud of and play on without fear of injury, a field that is durable and can hold up to the amount of foot traffic and stress that's placed on it during the season. The proposed turf field would be utilized by our high school, middle school, and community soccer teams. I'm going to turn it over to Hunter.
Thank you guys for the opportunity to address you in the district tonight. Really just wanted to take a moment and walk through kind of the process of what we've gotten to so far, which is some draft designs and some budgetary scope items that we've worked through so far. Historically with you all, we've installed a football, baseball, and softball field, and I really just want to take a moment to open up the floor, see if you guys had any specific questions about where we're at today.
I have a question. This may be for Mr. Yates. When was the last time we did any upgrades to that field, or has there ever been?
Since I've been there, I don't think we have, other than just putting some dirt on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think like when I was in high school, which was a long time ago, it was the
I went out and
same.
looked at it with Adam and the maintenance guys, and I've gone out a couple of times in good weather, bad weather, and actually played on it some years ago. It's every other year it has to be basically just like scraped out and redone underneath because of the way the drainage is in there. So it's like, I don't know, $250,000 every other year or something like that. It's expensive to redo everything, and it makes it unsafe and difficult to play games and practice. And with the recent middle school soccer program that just started, I think it's going to get more use versus less. But it takes routine maintenance at least every other year, and it's not. I mean, it's a large field, so it's not insignificant effort or cost. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but it does take maintenance every couple of years.
Yes, sir. I believe Mr. Yancey has those numbers of the maintenance.
We have one bid from Turf Dogs out of Indianapolis, about $170,000 a year. Frankly, it's overused. That's why it's rough. So as the maintenance men have said, over 20 years, it's been an ongoing issue. So we think the only way to solve this is to redo the field and do it right. And we would be asking the board with the new bond that we're going to try to pass. This is one part of that bond, and it's around $1.4 million. And now the neat thing is, once you have the Moats group can go through this, but once you have the underneath done, the turf is not as expensive to replace after about 10 years. Some places go longer than 10 years. I've seen them on 12 to 15 years. I would replace it every 10, but depending on budget, what schools have. But they are the best.
Yeah, Mr. H, when you say community, you said high school, middle school, and community. What other teams play on besides our high school and middle school team?
Well, the proposed field would be for high school, middle school, maybe Orbits if they needed it, community soccer teams if they needed a place to play.
Okay.
Maybe
But today we haven't had any of that.
We have not. No. It's been our high school and middle school teams, and we've got about 6 teams between those two.
So, in terms of what's the installation time? How would that interrupt soccer season, or can we plan it around the season? How will that work?
Yeah, as of right now, we're tracking to have this done before the season, pending approval. There's some front-end items with engineering that dictate the entire construction process. The construction itself usually takes them around 12 weeks from shovel and dirt to finished turf. And then on the front end of that, you have to permit and design these as well.
And then we have a lower field that we can still use for practice and for the younger kids too, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We've got that. We've got while the field would be constructed, we could move teams over to the football field, and there's also a practice field behind the softball field that they could utilize as well. So
All right,
Soccer
but
field,
this is informational tonight. We're not making a motion yet.
what would be the dimensions? Because a lot of soccer fields are different. There's no set dimension for any level of play that I remember.
Sure.
What would be dimensions and how much room is up there for that?
Yeah, we would rely on the NFHS, which is National Federation of High School Sports, and their minimum standard to host events. What we have right here is kind of an assumed boundary until there's permitting and engineering of this. The exact boundary is unknown, but call it the state minimum for high school sports, plus about 10 feet of runoff in every direction outside of that game line.
All right. Is that the extent of the presentation?
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Thank you.
guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Item number 2, we are asking the appointment of Steve Underwood to the Bedford Public Library Board of Trustees.
All right. I have a recommendation to approve Mr. Underwood to the Public Library Board of Trustees. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right. Dr. Miller makes a motion. Do I have a second? All right. Mr. Gilbert seconds. Any discussion or questions related to this motion? Are you willing to do this, Mr. Underwood? All right. Thank you. All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Motion carries.
Congratulations, Steve. We are asking, item number 3, we are asking approval of the PSG Energy Group as the North Lawrence Community Schools energy savings provider. They will be helping us with the new bond that I'm going to ask us to work on the next few months for 2025.
All right. I have a recommendation for the approval of PSG Energy Group as our energy savings provider. Do I have a motion? All right. Mr. Gilbert makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Soakland seconds. Discussion or questions related to this motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you. We are asking approval of the PSG Energy Group's letter to proceed with a school-wide facility study at a cost of $40,000 with a 6 to 8 monthly timeline. And in your packet, it has a list of what will be looked at. It's quite lengthy.
All right.
I make a motion that we approve the school-wide facility study.
All right, Mr. King makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Oh.
All right, Ms. Miller seconds. Any discussion or questions related to this motion?
This is also was in our strategic plan of having an up-to-date facility study. I forgot to put that on there. Sorry.
Right. The only question I have, 6 to 8 month timeline is kind of squishy. Is there some way to get that done?
It needs to be, for example, I'm meeting tomorrow with Dennis. For example, our roofs have to be looked at right away, so they'll already start evaluating them. Also, our controls have to be done right away. We have to cut our energy use by 15% in the next 2 years because of issues that the state's going through right now in the state capitol. So we have to look at our operations costs.
So I think we heard in the presentation last meeting that we could start spinning projects out before the completion of this, full completion of this study. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Any further questions or discussion? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor of approval of this study, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
All right.
We are asking approval for a overnight stay for the B&L varsity softball team in Evansville, Indiana on April the 11th through the 12th, 2025.
All right. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
All right. Mr. Soakland makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. King seconds. Discussion or questions?
all the fees are associated with this trip are being paid by the Softball Grand Slam Club.
All right. Further questions? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries.
We are asking approval of an updated Playful Pathways 2025-26 school calendar. Training days for August the 4th and August the 5th of 2025 will be moved to March the 24th, 25th of 2026. This change was made to allow for a more flexible schedule for the NLCS staff who have children that attend at Playful Pathways. There was an error in the calendar, and this caused a hardship for some of our employees' children because that's their start of school. So we need to change those dates.
All right, have a recommendation for an update to the 25-26 calendar of Playful Pathways. Do I have a motion? All right, Mr. Gilbert makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dr. Miller seconds. Questions or discussion related to this? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you. We're asking approval of purchase of a transport truck. It's a 2025 dually Ford. The truck cost is $68,525.80, with the box coming in at $14,097 at a total of $82,622.80. It will be purchased locally from our Bedford Ford dealer. We have two existing. They're over 20 years old. One's obsolete. It's going to be gone in the summer. The other one is also on its last leg, so we'll be getting rid of. This summer, we're going to be going through all of our vehicles. We're going to make sure we have correct titles, and the vehicles we do not use will be removed, and we'll have to bring them in front of the board. I am trying to cut costs on our insurance. So we have quite a few vehicles here, and I'm going to make sure we're using them. And if we're not, they'll be moved on to cut costs. So, and this comes out of the bond of 2024.
All right, have a recommendation for purchase of a transportation truck. Do I have a motion? Mr. King makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Gilbert seconds. Questions or discussion related to this motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
I do want to
Motion carries.
I do want to thank Mr. Sokeland. He helped with this bidding process. We did buy local, but it was done fairly because I did not give him any numbers, just specifications, and he beat some really good competition in Indianapolis, and I want to say thank you for his effort. And of course, he didn't vote on it, so, but I appreciate it. At this time, can I go over the FYIs with you?
Sure.
It's in your computers if we can find them.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time keeping up with
The FYI files.
because the system shuts down on me.
All right, yes, go ahead.
Okay. The first FYI is the Early Journeys Developmental Preschool 3-year plan. That's from Mrs. Barnes at Playful Pathways. Just wanted you to take a look. It doesn't have to be voted on down the road. Number 2 is an agreement of the high ability certification that you do not have to vote on. You already approved it, but I wanted to show you the contract. As you can see, it's a 4-year payback if someone would leave early, and it's based on, so if you would leave halfway through, that means 50% would have to be paid back to the district. You know, we are trying to do this to get a Spanish teacher too to pay for their masters. So just wanted you to see that contract. Number 3 is the Lawrence County Community Foundation. Trying to find my notes on the Lawrence County Foundation because we received 3 grants, and I want to thank them. They were $580 for the FFA, $498 for the NLCS Cultural Arts, $1,291 for the BNL Music Department. And again, I want to thank the Lawrence County Community Foundation for these grants. We truly appreciate it. Also, next is February is the February count for membership for the ADM. We had 35 early graduates of BNL, and we lost 8 students. You know, we have 2 funding dates with the state of Indiana, and that's how we pay our education fund. Wanted you just to see that. Number 5 is the NLCS travel expense protocol. I wanted to see if you have any questions on that. Fatima can answer that for you. This is when individuals will leave, and we're not giving out the credit card like we used to. We're tightening that up, so there's a protocol for that. Number 6 is the Project Lead the Way summer training stipends. That was from a grant that we'll be bringing to you lately. I wanted you to take a look at that. Number 7 is a draft proposed position for Assistant Director of Development at Playful Pathways. That's Mrs. Barnes. We've updated her job description, what it truly is. When that was made last year, the job description, I don't believe, was done. So we're updating it. That has to be approved by you next board meeting. Number 8 is the soccer field engineering service agreement. That is, I cannot approve that because it's over the $50,000 limit, so I'll have to bring it to the board. If we decide to work on the soccer field, you have to have an engineering study. We've already got the company to do that. It's around $58,000, and we do have rock there, as everyone knows. In Bedford, we have rock, so that's always an issue, but we'll make it through. But I wanted you to take a look at that. We're expediting that for you can see. Then number 9 is Aaron's Law. As you can see, we have to follow those guidelines, and I wanted you to take a look and see. There's websites you can look at where we'll be not only training our teachers but students. That is mandated by law. So, thank you so much. I do have some thank yous if you want me to get that finished at the same time or at the end.
Go ahead. You're on a roll.
Okay. Again, with all the snow days that's happened to us here, big thanks to Steve Underwood. I don't think people understand this gentleman gets up at 4 o'clock with Mr. Bodie. They travel. He calls the garage. He's constantly looking at the weather, calls me at 5:30 to make the decision. We have a protocol, and I don't think people understand the time he puts in, and I appreciate it. And I want to thank our teachers and students for the learning from home, synchronous learning. Ryan Davis and Dwayne Bodie, I want to thank at the bus garage. We have to consolidate resources here. They got back $1,000 of old parts that we can't use on old buses. They're going through all the inventory, and I want that stuff up to date. And what we can't use, we're getting credit for it. He also found a $300 savings a month on some chemicals we use. I appreciate the effort of all of our directors of looking at cost savings. We have to do this down the road. I want to thank our maintenance and custodians. I mean, the amount of snow removal that's happened here. I'll be honest, our schools are in great shape. Sunday they were out scooping and shoveling snow and getting our sidewalks ready. I really appreciate what they do. Also, we've had a lot of illness in the district in January. We were winning in attendance the first semester. I hope the good Lord will help us with illness and we can get and the weather, and we get our students back in school, because attendance does matter here at North Lawrence, and we want our kids in school. And I do appreciate the board sending me to the Regional Opportunity Initiatives at French Lick. We're very blessed to live in Lawrence County, let me tell you, after being at that. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Yancey. Next item on the agenda is persons to address the board. Items not relative to the agenda. Anything, David? Okay. No one else? All right. Moving on. Closing business. I believe we have spotlights and highlights from Mr. King.
Yes. First is Playful Pathways. Exciting things are happening at Playful Pathways / Early Journeys. Our pre-K classes are enjoying specials throughout the month. We've added PE, cell lessons, and story time with Miss Shelley. The children love the opportunity to explore new and exciting things. Not only do these opportunities offer gross motor skills practice, they also provide opportunities for sharing, turn talking, and following directions. Keep an eye on us. We'll be adding art and music to our list next month. Need more. We've had several events for Needmore students and families in the past month. PTO sponsored a cookies and canvas night, Valentine grams, and donut muffins with adults. We hosted our I Read information night, which was very well attended by our families. It's clear to see the Needmore community supporting the work of the PTO and our school, all for the benefit of our students. We are proud of our robotics teams. One of the RoboToppers teams qualified for the state competition, and we're rooting for our other RoboTopper team to qualify soon. Our attendance rate took a hit during the cold and flu season. However, we still have an overall attendance of 95.4%. Parkview Primary, Parkview K through 2 has been in a flurry of excitement. Our kindergartners' chickens hatched 9 baby chicks this week. Wonderlab wowed our Panthers with liquid nitrogen, its effect on bouncy balls and flowers. Our parents and the PTO help support us through this cold wintry season by providing new games and STEM activities for indoor recess. Parkview Intermediate, congratulations to our spelling bee winners, Paisley Hall, grade 6, and Layla Eldridge. Is it Layla or Layla? Grade 4. They have the opportunity to compete in Lawrence County Spelling Bee, sponsored by WBIW. Last week, Lincoln. Last week, the Lincoln Green Thumbs harvested kale, spinach, and lettuce. They also cleaned the 2 hydroponic systems, planting new spinach, rainbow chard, and lettuce for the hydroponic system, and transplanted 2 kinds of baby tomato plants. We held our school spelling bee for grades 3 through 5 and 6th grade last week. Our winner for 3rd through 5th grade was Judd Umphris, and for 6th grade was Aaron Prepster. They will be competing in the county spelling bee on February 24th and 25th. Shoswick Elementary. Our teachers are utilizing their PLCs to discuss students' data achievements and their grade level team and our instructional coaches. We're using this data to address student needs during win time. Targeted instruction is provided for every student across the entire grade level. Everyone leads a group, including our teachers, reading specialists, instructional assistants, high ability specialists, and inclusion teachers. Sometimes Mrs. Pace and Mr. Fig even step in and lead a group. Our teachers and students love this time, and we're learning and improving through this process. Our teachers participated in a mini PD session using their common planning time with Literacy Cadre Training Support Specialist Connie McDaniel last week. She worked with teachers on the importance of encoding and what this can tell us about our students' needs. She will be back for a mini PD on quick writes. This is an exciting thing to learn with and from each other. Our kindergarten welcome nights are just around the corner. We're so excited to meet our new former scholars. Bedford Middle School. Our BMS robotics team continued to impress, performing exceptionally well in the recent competition. These students work extremely hard week in and week out to prepare, and their dedication shows in their strong performances. Our orchestra and band students excelled at the ISSMA solo and ensemble competition early this month, earning gold ratings for the outstanding performance. Congratulations to all who participated. We are excited to host the Parent Project Class and Power School Information Night on March 10th, a session open to parents of students in grades 5 through 8. This special night will provide valuable parenting tools and an overview of Power School. The BMS Renaissance Club is making a huge impact around our schools by recognizing students' achievements, updating bulletin boards, and spreading positivity throughout the building. Career Center. 8th grade tours. All NLCS and private charter schools in Lawrence County had the opportunity for their 8th graders to tour the Career Center and discuss the opportunities unlocked when participating in one of our 15 programs. Non-traditional career fairs. Mrs. Baker collaborated with our instructors to provide hands-on experience for those that exposed underclassmen to programs considered a non-traditional job for their gender. Maddie Simon, congratulations to Maddie for her being nominated for the Indiana Work-Based Learning Impact Award. She works at PRD Incorporated as an apprentice through the Upskill program. February is CTE month. We spend the month of February celebrating all aspects of career technical education. Social media posts, giveaways, and trivia contests have driven friendly competition among the students and staff. Bedford North Lawrence. Last week, BNL hosted our 8th grade parent night, and it was a huge success. Thank you to all these families for attending and learning about BNL, the new diploma, and freshman course registration. We're excited to welcome the class of 2029 to BNL. BNL wants to thank our community for their support in BNL athletics through the many fundraisers, sponsorships, donation, attending events, and more. We are very grateful to our STARS community.
All right, thank you, Mr. King. In terms of upcoming meetings, our next regularly scheduled meeting will be March 13th, regular meeting at 6 o'clock and executive session to follow. And then following this meeting, we will have a public work session that will commence as soon as we're done here, that is also open to the public. With that, I believe we have no more business, and I would welcome a motion for adjournment. Mr. King makes a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Gilbert seconds. All those in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Thank you all very much.